Micro, it is something very small. So the study of microorganisms are called as microbiology. Evolution, it is a biological phenomenon which is very common to all the living organisms. First it will be just a single cell. Those cells will divide later and you'll have a complete baby that is formed. Understand the function of an animal or a plant, the physiology of the animal and the plant. It is very important to know about the tissues and the organs. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to today's session on the bridge course for first PUC or the 11th standard. I'm Dr. Divya, Biology Faculty, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Mysore, Temple of Excellence. So in this session, we shall see what is in store inside biology or what is in biology. So we know that biology is one of the important disciplines that we study along with physics, chemistry and mathematics. And biology, it is a natural science wherein we study the different structures of the cell, how the life organisms, they live together with mutualism in the environment. What is the structure of the organism? What is the physiology or the processes that take place in an organism? What is the structure of the plant or the morphology of the plant and the animal? What is the different functions that are taking place inside the organism with respect to plants and animals and also with respect to microbiology or with respect to microorganisms. So we shall see what is in store when it comes to biology. So biology is studied with three main branches, wherein the first being botany, then zoology and microbiology. So under botany, we study about plants. So the study of plants is called as botany, and also botany includes mycology, wherein we study about the fungi, that is especially the mushrooms. So that is nothing but mycology. So apart from these, under the study of plants or mycology or under botany, there is paleobotany. So those plants that existed in the prehistoric times, that is the fossilized plants, the study of the fossilized plants is nothing but paleobotany. And next we study about horticulture, how to grow flowers, how to grow fruits, all these comes under the horticulture. Next we have bryology, wherein we study about the mosses. So different mosses that we find in the rainy seasons, especially in Western Ghats, there are a lot of moss species that are present. That is nothing but bryology. Then we study about ethnobotany. Ethnobotany is one interesting subject under botany, wherein we study about the ancient culture or tradition that are followed by different tribes and different people in terms of plants being used as a medicine. So what are the values of the plants? How plants are useful in preparing Ayurvedic medicines and all that? Or what are the phytochemicals present in the plants? What knowledge the ancient tribes or the ancient people had regarding the use of plants as medicines? All that is overall the economic importance of the plant we study under ethnobotany. Next is agronomy. Agronomy is nothing but the study of crop. So in your high school you have studied about crop improvement, crop management and all that. So all that comes under agronomy. So much you will study under botany. Again in biology there is one more stream or one more branch, that is zoology. So the study of animals is nothing but zoology. So under zoology, we have entomology, wherein we study about the insects. Then we have ichthyology, then ornithology, wherein we study about the birds. Then we have herpetology, wherein we study about the snakes. Then anatomy is the inside of the organism, what is there, be it the digestive system, be it the skeleton, the cartilage, then reproductive organs, all that when we study, they come under anatomy. So anatomy is one important thing that is very important in the field of medicine. And we study physiology. So how the digestion takes place, what are the enzymes involved in digestion, how the food we chew, what enzymes are produced, then excretion process, all that comes under the physiology. Various molecules or compounds or enzymes or proteins that are produced in the body, all that come under the physiology when under zoology. So under zoology, we have entomology, ichthyology, ornithology, herpetology, anatomy and physiology. Next, moving into microbiology. So micro, it is something very small. So the study of microorganisms are called as microbiology. So under microbiology, there is bacteriology, wherein we get to study about the bacteria, then about the fungi. Again here under botany, you have mycology, wherein we'll study about the fungi, but it is only related to mushroom, because still there is a question mark whether to put mushroom under the plants or under the fungi, but they have retained it under botany itself. But when it comes to mycology under microbiology, we study about fungi, wherein we study about the aspergillus. So you might have seen on breads, you have black color microbes growing. They are nothing but the rhizopus and the aspergillus, the mucor and all that. So that comes under mycology. Then we have protology, then phycology and nematology. Then we have immunology. So immunology is nothing but how antibodies are produced, how the microbes are used in providing immunity. Say for example, penicillin. It is derived from Penicillium species itself, right? So all that we'll study under immunology, which is a branch under microbiology. So all these together, clumped together, forms your biology that you take up in PUC. So nowadays, biology is not just limited to these, but a lot of genetic studies are also being included, which a small portion of which will be there in the PUC, as well as you study, go in or choose biology in the future subjects. Then also these genetic related studies also comes under the biology. But in spite of that, at present, only these three are the main branches of biology: botany, zoology and microbiology. So we shall see what are the basic concepts that you should keep in mind when studying biology. So in biology, any number of chapters you have, any number of units you have, or any number of topics are there in biology, all have a basic concept. So what are those which you have to remember? One important thing is homeostasis. So homeostasis is the ability of an organism to survive. So we know that the living things, they actually maintain a constant internal environment. The best example is temperature. However, the temperature in the external environment is there, our body will always be at 95 to 97 degree, right? Why? Because that temperature is needed for our survival. Only when we have an infection or a fever, the temperature increases. But other than that, the body's temperature will not increase or decrease based on how the temperature is outside. It is not that in summer, your body's internal temperature will be high, and in winter, your body's internal temperature will be low. No, that will not take place. If that occurs in countries where there is lot of snow and the temperature goes below minus, that is below zero, minus degree, then the blood cells, all that will freeze. They will start to become crystals, right? So in order to avoid that, for the better survival of the organism, it is maintained at a constant temperature, though the external environment temperature keeps on varying. That is nothing but one of the best example in homeostasis. So the survival, so homeostasis is nothing but the survival of an organism. So living things, they maintain a constant internal environment, and this is the struggle of a single organism to survive. So in order to survive, any organism, be it the microbe, be it the plants, I just gave one example of temperature, but all the organisms in different ways for their survival, they tend to maintain a constant internal environment in order to survive in spite of whatever is taking place outside in the environment. So homeostasis is one important term. This is one important term. And next is unity. So in our ecosystem or in the biodiversity, there is a lot of biodiversity. The name itself suggests there is a diverse amount of living forms that are being present. But each living form, they show difference. When you see a plant, it is completely different. Birds, a parrot is different. Parrot itself, you have two different types of parrots, two different species of parrots. Then birds, hummingbird, then you have the tiger. So all these, this tiger, lion and all, they come under the same family, right? But when you see them, they are different to look. Human beings, we also come under the same family. We have different but you can identify this person is so and so by looking at the features, right? That is the diversity that we have, be it the animals, be it the plants or the microorganism. There is a lot of diversity. So all organisms, regardless of the uniqueness. But in plants, the functioning or the physiology of the plant that occurs is almost similar. In animals, the physiology is almost similar. But regardless of that, to look at the plants externally, or just when you see a plant or an animal or a microorganism, each one is different from each other. Animals itself, there is a lot of diversity. In plant itself, there is a lot of diversity. They have a lot of diversity regarding their uniqueness. That is, they have certain variations, or say for example, they share common features in biological, chemical and physical characteristics, but in spite of that, they differ to look. When you look at them, they differ. So the monkeys, the apes and the human beings, to look, we are almost similar, right? Almost similar in the sense our functioning is almost similar. The apes, their fingers, they look just like the human fingers, though they have only 4 digits in their hands, right? That is the difference. That is, their birds, each bird, they feed on insect, they feed on fruits. That is similarity in them. But when you just see their characteristic feature, that is laying egg, they reproduce by laying eggs, right? So that is also similar in them. But when you see the structure, they are completely different. That is the uniqueness. So unity is what you study in biology. It is one of the important concepts in biology. So, and we also know that all living cells, they arise from pre-existing living cells. So this actually should come under reproduction. So this comes under reproduction. Next is evolution. So evolution is one of the important concepts that you study throughout, like you had in your high school also, about heredity and evolution you have studied. So the same thing is carried forward in your PU biology as well. So it is one of the important concepts here. So evolution, when you think of evolution, we always think of survival of the fittest. Those who are fit and very capable of moving forward, a step forward than the others, they will survive. Otherwise, they will get perished. It is, the best example is fishes. So fishes, they lay like lakhs together of eggs. All the baby fishes be produced? No, it is not like that. Why? Because if that is the case, then the whole ocean or the pond or the river would be filled with fishes, right? And it would be difficult for all the fishes to survive. So those who are fit enough and who have the ability to survive, only they will continue their life and the other will get perish. So that is about evolution. And not just that, evolution, it is a biological phenomenon which is very common to all the living organisms. Say for example, plants, from where did they come? First, the algae were formed, then came the bryophytes, then the pteridophytes got formed, then after the pteridophytes, the angiosperms got formed. So this is how the plants evolved. From tiny algae, that is unicellular plant, that is algae, we have a multicellular plants now, huge trees, huge flowers and all that, right? That is nothing but evolution. Even we human beings, first we were apes. Later on, through evolution process, what happened? After many years of evolution, the human ones that we exist, maybe after many years, the humans may look something else again, right? So that is nothing but the evolution that is taking place. So even microorganisms also. In the previous session, I gave you the example of bacteria. So bacteria, they, in order to move, they were moving by taking the help of viscosity. But that bacteria, they were trying to move. Because of that, later on in the process of evolution, they developed flagella for the easy movement. So that is also one kind of evolution. So evolution is one of the important concepts of biology. Next is diversity. So as we had studied, so diversity, though the biological or the chemical and physical similarities are there in almost all the organisms. So fishes, so fish, they have scales on their body, they have fins, they have gills, right? That is their physiological, biological or chemical similarities that they have. But are all the fishes same? There are different varieties of fishes that are available. Snakes, They are poisonous, they have fangs, they have tongue, and they have eyes, but they cannot see, but still based on the heat, sensing the heat through their tongue, they find their prey. They have scales on their body, and their body is almost rope-like. They do not have a cartilage. All that is the characteristic of a snake. But do all the snakes look alike? No, they are completely different from each other, different species, right? So that is the diversity that we find in this earth. So, though they have similarities in biological, chemical, and physical similarities, a diversity of life exists not only among but also between the species, but also in every population, not just plant species. So plant species, though all the plants are put under botany, but still when you see, there is a diversity of plants that are present. In plants itself, you have xerophytes, you have hydrophytes, then you have terrestrial plants. So all these things, right? Different plants are there. Some of the plants, they are epiphytes. They only grow on other plants. Some are parasites which grow on the other plant and completely kill the plant, right? So such different forms are there, though their physiology, function, and biology, everything is similar. So that is about diversity, is one of the important concepts in biology. Next, it comes to behavior and interrelationship. So the best example that we can take of is ecology. So in ecology, there is a interrelationship between the organism. As I told you, in the ecosystem, we have plants, we have animals. In the animals, we have the herbivores, we have the carnivores, then comes the microorganisms. So the plant, how they get food, they depend on the sun, right? And once the plant uses the food, how the herbivores get food? They get food from the plants, or the insects, they feed on the plants. Then the carnivores, either the birds or the animals, they feed on the herbivores or the insects. Then these birds, when they die, or the animals, when they die, the microbes feed on them and they decompose them and they make the soil fertile. That fertility or that nutrition present in the soil, again it will be utilized by the plant. Like this, it continues. They are mutual to each other. One best example I'll tell you. Have you seen cattle? So if you have seen cattle grazing in the fields, always there will be a bird, that is myna. That bird will be sitting on the cattle. But the cattle will not disturb the bird. Why? Because they are having a mutual relationship with each other, wherein the bird is getting food by feeding on the ticks of the cattle. So the ticks that are there in the cattle, they will be feeding on that. So those ticks are actually a problem to the cattle, because it will keep irritating the cattle by biting and sucking blood of the cattle. So what happens here is, the cattle or the cow will get rid of the ticks, and in turn the bird will get its food by eating the ticks. The best example, one more, is the crocodile. There is a bird that sits inside the mouth of the crocodile. So until the bird is sitting inside the mouth of the crocodile keeps its mouth open. It can eat the bird easily, right? But it will not eat that bird. Why? Because that bird will be cleaning the teeth of the crocodile. Whatever bits and pieces are there, no, it will be feeding on that. It will be cleaning the teeth. That is why it is helping the crocodile in turn. So that is why they have a mutual understanding with each other. So that is nothing but behavior and interrelationship. Mutualism, commensalism, all these comes under the behavior and interrelationship. So interrelationships, they are very important to the welfare of the earth, because they can be seriously disrupted by human activities. The best example is, even we think, because of the advancement in technology, scientists, they developed a pill. So they will say, if you eat this pill, though, there is no need of eating food for the entire day. And also scientists will develop a technology. You have nowadays it is there. They call it as rain seeding, right? What they will do is, they will make artificial rain. They will insert some chemical in the cloud, and when the clouds bombard, there will be rain falling, right? Artificial rain is being, cloud seeding it is called as, cloud seeding. So all that is done. Imagine if that is done in a vast extent and people completely starts to depend on that. What people will start doing, they'll start cutting down all the trees, clearing the forest in order to make space for their living, to build houses, to build big companies, all that, right? But thank God, still such technologies, they are used very limited. That is why we are saving our ecosystem till today, or saving the biodiversity and the plants till today, because Oxygen can be given only by the plants. If it is like in future, if some technology comes and they start like keeping big oxygen kind of some machine which will produce oxygen, let us pray such things should not come. Otherwise, we will not even stop giving importance to planting of trees and will start cutting the trees and not giving importance to them. And also food, because food we get only from agriculture. That is why we are giving importance to plants. Otherwise, imagine what would have happened to this earth. That is why behavior and interrelationship is very, very important. Interrelationship. We always should depend on each other. Then only we'll know the value of something. Otherwise, we will not know the value and we will destroy that thing completely. So that is one important concept that you get to learn in biology, behavior and interrelationship. Next is continuity. So continuity, the best example is reproduction. So any organisms, if the next generation should continue, imagine the animals, if they stop reproducing, then one set of deer, say in a forest there is 10 deers and those deers, they stop reproducing, then will the next generation come? Will the next set of deers be formed? No, right? So therefore, reproduction is very, very important. So life, they exist only from the pre-existing life. So life exists only from the pre-existing life, and that continuity of the life, reproduction is very, very important. So what happens in reproduction, how reproduction occurs in animals, in plants, all that, in microorganisms, everything for the balance of the ecosystem, this process is very, very important. So this we will study in biology under the concept called as continuity, wherein we'll study about the reproduction. Next is study of structure. Say for example, reproduction. In order to understand reproduction, or in order to bring about different cross-pollination or self-pollination, or which are the mechanisms in plant, we need to know about the structure of that particular organism. Say for example, reproduction. If we need to understand the reproduction, then we need to know the structure of the female and the male reproductive system, right? So all those we will study under the structure. So the life process of every organism is carried out by specific materials that are arranged in definite structures. So in the case of humans, we have the uterus and all those things. And the male, there is a separate reproductive organ which you'll be studying in your first PUC or in your higher classes. So all that is there. So in order to understand that, first, or to study about a disease or any surgical procedure, for everything we should know the structure of the organism, right? The structure, how it is arranged, where the digestive tract is there, where the brain is there, everything, what parts are there in the brain, each and everything, nook and corner of the body of an organism, we should know about it. So the study of structure is one of the basic concepts in biology. Next, cells and the constituent. So cells, they are unicellular and they are microscopic. We cannot see them. So in order to understand, so thanks to the introduction or the invention of the electron microscope, because of that we are able to study the different forms of cells, how they divide, at what time they divide, what are the different stages of division, all that we will come to know. So functioning of cells in unicellular and multicellular organism is very, very important. So I told you the organism is formed, say for example, from a single cell, that is the baby when it develops inside a mother's womb. First, it will be just a single cell. Those cells will divide later and you'll have a complete baby that is formed by the end of the 9th month, right? In order to understand that, it is important for us to know about the cells. So all those life processes, to understand, it is important to know about the cells. So cells and their constituents are one of the important concepts in biology. Next, moving on to tissues and organs. In order to understand the function of the liver, understand the function of the leaf when it comes to plants, understand the function of an animal or a plant, the physiology of the animal and the plant, it is very important to know about the tissues and the organs. So there are a lot of to study. If you have a small piece of tissue, that can be cultured in the laboratory so that its multiple form can be formed. Therefore, we will know like how they divide and all that we will come to know. So the study of the tissue and organ, especially studying in order to understand the physiology of the organism, tissue culture. This tissue culture is very, very important. So tissue, how it is done, in order to know, we should know about the tissues and the organs in a plant or an animal. So that this is one of the important concepts in biology. So this is one of the important concepts in biology. So I hope you have understood all these concepts very well, because all these will be carried throughout until you study biology. So knowing each of these concepts is very, very important. So as I told you, be it any kind of chapter that is there or any topic that is there in the textbook, all depends on these concepts itself. So it is important. So I hope you understood this session very well. So we shall meet in the coming session. Thank you.